Well, good evening out there, everybody. We are steamrolling towards Thanksgiving. Hope everybody out there is doing very well. This is the Ballers Report podcast, courtesy and powered by, of course, the Shakeback Media Group. And this is your boy, Willie Epting Jr. Of course, it's been a minute since we've done the Ballers Report, but hey, you know what? It's all good. And we're going to get to why we are here because we have a baller in the studio this evening. And I don't necessarily mean a baller by athletic standpoints. We're talking about ballers in life. And that is exactly what this young lady is and has done and is continuing to do so in her life. She is an esteemed, terrific mom. She is a wonderful wife. And she's my neighbor, doggone it. So we're going to go ahead and bring Kim in here in just a second. But before we do that, you already know what we got to do. You already know what time it is. So without any further ado, come on, let's go get it.
Right about now, you're about to be possessed by the sounds.
Yeah, I know what it is. You little suckers get to talking, grabbing out walking, strapped to the pong of their jaws and smacking they sleep with the coffins. And they getting greedy like saying, give me all.
You already know what it is when you hear that music. The lights are on, the camera's on, the studio is lit. It is another edition of the Ballers Report podcast, and I'm going to bring Kim in here right now because she is raring to go. And you guys out there that know this production, you know how we do it. The first time you are a guest, as soon as I hit go live, you immediately become family. So we have a new family member, part of the Shakeback Media Group. Here she is, Kimberly.
Hello.
What's going on?
Just hanging out.
Well, yeah, and it is a terrific what's the day? Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday night here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Thank you guys out there for checking us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram TV, and of course, Twitter. As we are steamrolling Kim to 12 and a half bands and followers on Twitter. Thank you guys out there so much for supporting the vision. And thank you for joining us on this episode. All right, Kim, we've been talking about this for a while. Tell me what's going through your head right now. Tell me what's going on in your heart.
I mean, I'm very honored and humbled that you just decided that I had things worth saying. And it's just really nice that, you asked me to be here because, I don't know, you're just such a wonderful, positive energy for the neighborhood and for the world. And I'm just happy that I get to be your neighbor.
Oh, that is real cool and sweet. But, and ladies and gentlemen out there, just so you know, there is not an amount of money that Kim and I discussed that I had to pay her for her to say that.
Nope.
All right, so let's just get to it. All right, Kim. So we got a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to try to keep you here at a minimum of 30 minutes. I promise, or I'm hoping that you don't make me cry on our first date. I said that off air. And when I say first date, ladies and gentlemen, don't get it twisted. She's happily married. I'm happily married. This is just podcast jargon. Yes, it's podcast jargon. So don't start tripping out there. All right, Kim. So let's talk a little bit about Kimmy. And I want you to give a fun fact about you that either not too many people know about or something that will put you on the plateau of being very, very close to famous.
Oh my gosh, something close to famous.
Yes.
All right. Well, just one?
It's up to you. This is your show. You're the star.
Okay. Close to famous. Okay. I will say, So I auditioned for season 3 of American Idol many moons ago. And I made it in front of Simon and Randy, but Paula was not there that day because she was mad at Simon.
Oh,
Um, and this
everybody's
was
always mad at
Houston,
Simon.
always, yeah. She was in Houston, which was kind of a bummer for me because as a kid, I was a Paula Abdul fan. I loved her. So I was kind of bummed that I didn't actually get to meet her, but it was not the experience I was expecting. It was still a good one, but Simon and Randy were just kind of talking to each other the whole time. And then when I was done, they were very sweet. It was a nice turn down. They said, you have a wonderful voice, but it's a little bit too musical theater for what we're looking for. And yeah, so it wasn't the worst letdown, and it was a fun experience. So
Wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so when they say what they weren't looking for, what
yeah,
what I mean, I thought they looked for people that could sing.
I know. I think some of it was I think some of it was they'd just come out of season 2, and that was when Clay Aiken was on.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of the show tunes boy. And I think they were kind of trying to weed out the possibility of that happening again, and trying to make sure that they were sort of giving out a new person, even though Clay Aiken didn't even win. But he
Right.
was top 2. Everyone always thinks he's the one that won, but it wasn't he wasn't the one that won. But I think that's all I could come up. It was a very weird thing. I didn't really understand it. I was like, so you like me, but you don't like me?
Yeah, that's the story of my life.
Yeah, right. So I don't really know what they were looking for that day, but whatever.
Well, I mean, that's still a big deal because to make it in front of those two guys, I mean, that in itself is a tremendous, not just a bucket list item, but simply a tremendous life accomplishment. And to even be able to get that far, and since you've told on yourself, Kimmy, you're gonna have to hit a note here before we get off this show.
Oh goodness. Okay. Now or later?
I will cue you in when it is time. How about that?
Okay.
It can be any song you want. I know that's a little bit of a throw in, but hey, you know what? I figure if you can do it in front of Simon and Randy and Paula, who wasn't there but would have been there. And let me say this about Paula Abdul. When I was in high school, um, I had the like the biggest crush on her. And I know I ain't the only one. Um, and I often joke that she was one of my first 2 baby mamas, but things didn't quite work out the way that she planned. All right. So with that being said, so
I
with that
get it. I loved her. I'd named a teddy bear after her, which is a little less exciting than maybe she would like, but I was a big Paula Abdul fan.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Any other fun facts about Kimmy that you maybe a fun fact that not too many people know?
Not too many people know. Um okay. So I collect dolls, like fashion dolls. Which I don't tell a lot of people because it, it can raise eyebrows, even though I don't feel like it should. It's also, I don't know. It's something that I really got into in the last year. Um, and a lot of it, I think, is because my daughter was into them, and I loved dolls when I was a kid, and it sort of reawakened this love for them. So yeah, I have over 100 like fashion dolls that line the
Really?
wall of my office. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so this is the glorious thing about children sometimes,
Mhm.
especially those that are not they don't have double digit figures in their age. Your daughter is what?
She's 8.
She's 8. So she qualifies as one of those ones that does not have a double digit age.
Yes.
Um Something about one of the glorious things about kids is that they bring the current you back to your past you. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people, they have to grow up so much faster than they really wanted to. Um, and kids just kind of allow you to finally like revisit that time, and you can kind of do it with a little less shame than you would have otherwise, because it's like, well, I'm doing this for my kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It's nice.
Well, yeah, it can be because some of us that have kids and that grew up in ways that we did, we may not want kids to remind us of where we were when we were kids.
Yeah,
So that's just, I'm just saying. All right.
I hear
So
that.
yeah, I got some attestments to that, but we will save that for another time. All right. So even though we are a production that was founded on sports, we have branched out to so many other different things to include mental health. Patrice and I, my beautiful bride of now going on 11 years, and I are staunch mental health advocates. I know that you are the same, and we're going to get to that in just a second. And I wanted to just ask you a question about sports because uh hey, that's what we do here for the most part. I know you said that you're really not a sports fan. However, you are very proud of the Texas Rangers.
Yeah,
The,
I
the,
was. I posted about it, and yeah, I don't know, I was very proud of them. And I used to go to baseball games a lot when I was a kid. Um, and so I don't know. I always grew up watching baseball, so I've always just kind of enjoyed it. And I'm really more of a live sport person. I can certainly enjoy it, but I've just never been one of those people that can just sit on the couch and watch sports. Um, I don't. It's just I can't.
and
So
that's understandable because really some people can't watch it, but they can listen to it on the radio.
yeah,
And that I can watch it. And I mean, baseball is my favorite sport. Tune into the hashtag Brothers of Baseball show on the Big Game Christian Sports Network, powered by the Shakeback Media Group. 12s and 6s, 1s and 7s, Monday through Friday, bgcsports.net, or the TuneIn app. Just throw in BGC Sports in the search bar. Okay, that's a shameless plug for me, from me, for me, to me, and about me. All right. Yeah, and the Rangers, I mean, I'm not a Rangers fan. All my teams reside in California
that's fair.
for obvious reasons. But the Rangers, I think this year, and it was unfortunate that Bruce Bochy didn't win the Manager of the Year. That actually went to the manager of the Baltimore Orioles.
Mm,
But I'm pretty sure he would take winning a World Series crown over winning the Manager of the Year. He's won his third. This is his fourth one. Yeah, his fourth. So yeah, but anyway, so I'm not a Rangers fan, but I do have a personal tie to that team because of the offensive coordinator and hitting coach Donnie Ecker has been on the show a couple times, and I'm trying to reach out to him again to see if we can get him back on. So that would be really, really dope. Now, let me ask you a question
okay.
because it's one thing being proud of a team, but then you have some fans that don't even like a particular sport. And as soon as the team that's in their market wins a championship, now they're screaming my Rangers, my this, my that. Would you happen to know anybody like that?
Do I know anybody like that?
Yes.
I mean,
You don't have to
no.
you don't have to call their names out if you do, because I know plenty of people.
I do know people. I do. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I have gone off on a tangent here recently, especially after the Rangers won, because of that very reason.
Yeah.
That's as far as we're gonna go with that. Okay.
No, I got you. I definitely saw a lot of people where I'm like, have you ever watched a baseball game?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, Kim, let's get to the real. And you have to excuse me out there, ladies and gentlemen, in case she starts making me cry because she has a shakeback story that we're going to get to here in just a minute. But Kim is a big proponent of equal rights and mental health, and she's going to explain to everybody out there that's watching and ultimately will be listening to this on iTunes, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify, the passions that drive her in being such a staunch proponent of equal rights first, and then mental health second? Go ahead, Kim.
Absolutely. Okay. So in some ways, I feel like they go in hand. I think everyone should be in therapy. Even if you don't think you need therapy, you should be in it. Probably if you don't think you need it, you probably need it more than some people think they do. um, there's just, there's a lot of generational trauma that people need to work through, and it just piles on and piles on and piles on, and becomes this huge domino effect, and can, I don't know, it can really hurt a lot of people if it's not worked on. And I think only in recent years, mental health has really started to become destigmatized and talked about. So you have to consider the number of people that have gone untreated for that amount of time. And the family that raised them, those people weren't really treated because it wasn't really okay to be treated, and what that was passed down for them. So I say that, all of that, but while everyone should be in therapy, it's not accessible or affordable for a lot of people. It's mostly the marginalized demographics that lack that access and support. So we really just need to take it more seriously in this country. And on a smaller scale, I have certain medication I haven't been able to get for 9 months because of shortages. Even though the pharmaceutical companies keep saying that they have enough ingredients to make more of it, the DEA just isn't okaying it because it's just not a priority right now. And so I haven't been able to get it. I'm okay. I'm able to function, but there's some people who probably need that more than me that are having the same problem. And then on another topic, every time there's a mass shooting, which is a whole separate issue that I won't get into today, but people will just echo the same sentiment of it's mental health issues, it's mental health issues. But what are we actually doing about it? Absolutely nothing. We just yell about it, and then it fizzles away, and then nothing is done, and then it all just happens again. So while we're doing better as a society to talk about mental health, we have miles to go in terms of actually addressing it and making sure people are getting the help that they need.
Yeah. And you went there. And so I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna stay there with you because the putting the onus of mass shootings on mental health, while I'm not gonna say that there is that's not a need or a potential cause.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Tell me, why is it safer for people to get on an airplane than it is for children to go to school?
Yep.
If it's that much of a priority, Kim, and I hope you agree with me when I say this, why is it so much easier to get a weapon than it is to get medication?
Uh-huh.
Why is it easier to get an assault weapon than it is for people who, like me and you, have been diagnosed with a mental issue, but the costs are so high that we can't afford it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I mean, there's nothing else to say. That's just something just people aren't thinking about because they don't want to. They don't want to think about it.
I think there's a combination of a few things. There's a lot of money being made on the back end by certain sectors of people. And those people that are in those sectors don't even have a problem, in my opinion, with sacrificing even loved ones for the sake of their pocketbook.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the FBI is listening. I don't care. I don't care. I hope that somebody out there that has some cachet and some influence can hear our collective and individual hearts on how tremendously important this is.
Mhm.
And when I say things about the FBI, I'm joking, but not really.
Mm.
You know, um, so you're right. That's something that we can talk about from now until the cows come home. Um, and I want you to talk about some other things too on this show, on this particular episode. All that means is, guess what?
We
You got
can
to come back.
we will revisit that later. I am happy to.
Yeah, all that means is that you got to come back.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm excited already about that. So the same or similar, let me say, because nothing is really the same. There are a lot of things that are similar. So talk about the similar passions that you have for equal rights. And I do want to say this. I saw something on your Instagram page, and I don't have it. Well, I might be able to go and get it, but if I can't, I won't. And I'll ask you about it after you start discussing the root of your passion for equal rights. And it has something to do with the George Floyd incident that happened in 2020. So let's go there, because equal rights, I'm all about equality, just like you are. And I'm interested to hear your perspective on how to attack it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I'm an idealist. I'm aware of this about myself. You know, I kind of have the luxury and the privilege to really think about things like that because it's easier for me to think about those things. But I think it's because we're capable. All of us are. And if we're capable of thinking of it, then that means we can do something about it. So I know and I recognize the systems in place that actively oppress and hurt people. And we just need to do better. We need to take care of each other. Humans are corrupt and complicated, and there's no arguing that. But we're also so much more, and we can do so much more. We've learned nothing from historical actions and inactions, and yet everyone acts surprised when the same horrible things happen. Or they're just apathetic and they just think, well, that's just how the world works. What are you going to do? And I just think at the end of the day, it's just willful ignorance and laziness, which it's really hard not to get mad about. It's infuriating and frustrating. And it's why we feel so powerless all the time. I just think we are capable of reshaping the whole world instead of repeating the same mistakes over and over and destroying each other in the process. Anything that we can imagine is possible. And we just need to use that creativity. There's just a lack. It's weird. I just always say it's just a lack of creativity. It's so much easier to just lean on the same things than think of something new and be more innovative on how we can move forward and make something new.
So when we talk about ignorance or laziness, I just happen to believe, and tell me what you think. I just happen to believe that there's no more room, or there's no more excuses to say that someone is ignorant about it, because it's everywhere, and it's been everywhere. But now the climate that we're in, of course, we're in a different climate, and a lot of the same things, or a lot of the similar things that people before our generation went through, we're seeing a variation of it now. And I had said before that if this stuff doesn't stop, and I'm talking about the racism and the unequal rights, and I don't mean just for people of a similar shade of color that I am. I'm talking about my brothers and sisters that are a lighter shade of me, like you are. If we don't recognize, I shouldn't say that, because I think we do recognize it. If there's not a plan implemented in order to really turn the corner on these things, America's past is going to become America's present, and then America's present will definitely become America's future. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, 100%. There is no excuse. The number of times that I've been trying to have a conversation with someone in the comments on something, And they're just like, well, cite your sources. Well, give me some links. And I'm like, why am I responsible for doing a book report for you? How are you not able to find the same information that I am? There's no excuse given all of the information we have at our fingertips. And I know there's a whole lot of skepticism because, fake news and warped narratives and, deep fakes and things like that. But it's the to quote the X-Files, the truth is out there.
Yeah.
It is. You can find the information and you can find information that is real and true and something that can convince you. And I think if you can't be convinced, it's because you're uncomfortable with that truth
Mm-hmm.
and you would rather stay comfortable because
Mm-hmm.
if it's something that doesn't directly impact you, why would you step outside of your comfort zone?
Martin Luther King once said, "An injustice." What did he say? Injustice uh, to someone is injustice to everyone. I think
Hmm.
I think I said it wrong, but I think people out there know what I mean. So here's the thing: um, people don't have to go out and do research. Patrice and I have actually solved the world's ills of world peace, and all it is, the answer is what you and I are doing right now. That's it.
Yeah.
And people that are in positions of quote unquote authority are making millions over millions over millions over millions of dollars by keeping us divided.
Hmm.
And it's not, the book that I read says there is no blessing in the division, but there is the blessing in the unity. And people, okay. All right, Kim, let's keep going.
No, I mean, no, you're right. It's not. It doesn't make money if we're all getting along. It doesn't
Not
give
the right way.
power.
Yeah, not
It
the
doesn't
right way.
give power to the people in power if we're all getting along. I mean, these people that are getting elected, their whole thing is that guy's wrong and I'm right, so you should elect me.
Mm-hmm.
Why would there ever be but actually we're kind of agreeing on a whole lot of the same things. So if we all really work together, we could probably shape something really amazing. But that's not any fun. That's not that doesn't allow them to grow and climb the ladder and do what they want to do with their life instead of benefiting the people that they're supposed to be helping.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like the haves and the have-nots, and there are
Mhm.
way more haves than there are have-nots. And when I talk about have-nots, I'm talking about the people. It really and truly has nothing. It has the way that I'm speaking of it now has very little to do with economics. It has very little to do with economics. Economics is the result of what we're talking about right now. And I just believe that, you know what, it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's not a religion thing, it's not an socioeconomic thing. It is a spiritual thing, and it is a right and wrong thing. And right and wrong does not care about your color, your nationality, your pocketbook, your bank account, your reputation. It cares about none of that. Okay, I've already made myself out of a liar on this show. I told Kimmy that I was going to try to keep her here for 30 minutes or less. And guess where we're at? We're at 30 minutes already. So we got to move. I'm going to go ahead and move this along.
Okay.
How about a shake back story illustrating something that you have had to bounce back, or a story of redemption or from adversity for yourself?
Yeah. Okay. So very few people know this about me. Um, for a long time, it was just something I intentionally just kept hidden. Um, but it's also just not something that comes up in casual conversation. or something that you interject easily. And it can also just bring conversations that maybe I'm just not in the mood to have yet, so it can be really hard to just kind of organically mention it. And I if mom and dad are listening, I don't think they even know about this
Uh-oh.
because I never really wanted to burden them with it. And when you talked about this, brought this question, I really felt like it was time to talk about this. Um, so I think my therapist and like four other people know this, but I am a child sexual assault survivor. Um, it's something I suppressed for a very long time. It impacted relationships with people growing up in a way that still makes me really sad. There were connections that I think I really missed out on, and experiences I think I really missed out on because of how deeply rooted it was in me. I had a fear of intimacy up into my 20s, and I don't mean that just in a physical aspect. I mean emotionally. It was very hard for me to open up to people, and I was always known for being, really happy and Miss Sunshine, and like nothing was ever wrong, and I was okay being that person for people. But I had my own things that I was really trying to work through, and I think a lot of the time I tried to convince myself that nothing happened. Um, but it wasn't until I accepted what had happened and realized that it wasn't my fault, and I had forgiven the perpetrators, um, that I had really started to heal and grow. Um, and I think sometimes there, assault is so, it can be really gruesome and horrible. Um, but and sometimes you think, well, I didn't have something just horrific, it wasn't like I was cornered in an alley and five people approached me and I was beaten and things. And so you think, why is my story worth sharing when it wasn't that bad, you know? And I think for a long time that's also why I didn't talk about it, because I was like, well, this this isn't worth mentioning. But it was a disservice to me, and it was a disservice to the people around me because it's not rare. Um, 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys are victims of child sexual abuse. Um, and self report studies show that 20% of adult females and 5 to 10% of adult males recall a childhood sexual assault or sexual abuse incident. And I would bet that the stats for men and boys is probably a lot higher because there is a stigma on them to not report things like that. I think women are a little more readily, open to doing it. Um, and I think we would be probably pretty shocked at that number for men and boys. So I don't know. You asked me about it, and I was just like, I think this is like the time, like, to really talk about this. And I guess just tell people, um, you're not alone, which is both sad but also comforting in its own way. It's nice to know that it wasn't this isolated incident. And I know we hear about it every day, but it doesn't need to be this horrific, violent experience for it to hurt you. Um, that's just all there is to it. And it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to work through it. And yeah, that was mine. That's my story.
I told you a couple weeks ago that I had a lot of love and respect for you. And that was just based on social media posts. But now coming out on this platform and stating everything that you said, um, I'm happy that you have become strong enough to be able to do that, whether it was on this platform or any other. The fact that you have healed enough to be able to come out and say, "Hey, this happened," um, and I have no idea. I would be lying if I said I had a clue, but I have no clue. Um, just let me say that the love and respect for you has gone up exponentially at this moment. And that means that you have tremendous work to do ahead of you, because just as I'm willing to venture to say that just as many people that are reporting it is probably 2 or 3 times more people than that are not reporting it.
Yep.
And if this is somehow able to get to the right ears, the right eyes, and yeah, these are just one of the roots of where mental health issues come from, and a lot of it is because we're not able to express out of fear or judgment or whatever. Um, I literally don't know what else to say except for thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is a j- this zone is a we're live, and people around the world are watching this, and we'll be listening to it. You are amazing, Kimmy.
Oh gosh.
You are amazing. And shout out to your husband, because as a man, the only thing that we want to do is protect you. And I can only imagine. Okay, I can only imagine the type of conversations that you guys have had to have over the years. Um, and that's just what we do. We want to protect, and we want to repair.
Mhm.
And in a situation, in an instance like this, we can do neither. And for a man to not feel like he can do either of those things, it can actually place a level of burden in a mental burden on him or anybody else that's faced with that. So guess what? You just empowered yourself even further, and you've empowered people that's oh my gosh. Heavens to be the glory. God be the glory for this. I'm just gonna say it again. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. For those words.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How do we move? How do we go to the next topic from that? I mean, because now it's like, okay, well, let's talk about this. And it's all happy and upbeat. And I think, just by talking with you over these last few weeks and now you being here with me, I think that's what you would want to do.
Yeah.
You would want to move on to something that's, hey, let's go to Disneyland or something to that effect.
Basically, that's how I roll.
And okay,
Even on social media when I'm sharing, you know, civil rights things, social justice, whatever. I'll go through the string, and then I'm like, okay, here's a palate cleanser, here's a funny cat video before I dive into the next thing, because I don't know, I rely heavily on joy and jokes and laughter, um, for healing, and so I think it's really important.
ladies and gentlemen out there, what Kim just said is some healing medicine, but don't get so caught up in the jokes and joy that could actually be a mirage of fake joy
Mhm.
without dealing with the root of whatever it is. Um, so all right, Kimmy. I, I said we might cry and we might laugh, and here we are. Um, kick the bucket. Give everybody out there an item on your list that you want to accomplish. Could be a trip, could be a cause, anything that you want. Kick the bucket. Let's go.
I want to go to Ireland so bad. It is the number one place I have wanted to go to since I was a teeny tiny child. Um, it just seems like such a magical, beautiful place to me, and I love it. I love its history. I want to go so bad. And there's plenty of other places that I want to go to, but Ireland is my number one,
Yeah,
100%.
is family there?
No, I don't know. I'm
So,
Scottish and French, so Scotland would be pretty cool too.
uh-huh.
But I don't know. It's just something about Ireland. I don't know what it is.
Maybe is it the beer?
Maybe. I think I love fairy tales and folklore and just magic, and that's just Ireland to me. I know that that's not the only magical and place with folk tales and stuff, but just so many things come from there, and you just automatically think, the magic little Irish fairies. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's definitely something that I didn't expect. I mean, Ireland is Ireland.
Oh, it's not like a romantic place to go. It's not like I want to go to Paris or Rome or
Right.
I, yeah.
Well,
So yeah.
okay. For anybody out there that's watching and listening, let's do what we can do to get Kimmy and her family to Ireland.
Oh my gosh. I would die happy.
Let's do what we can to get her to Ireland. All right. All right, you've pretty much have already done this last thing, but I'm just gonna repeat it anyhow. Just if there's any words of encouragement before we leave up out of here for this episode, and there's so many things that we didn't get to, so all that means that you got to come back. But
Alright.
offer some words of encouragement, more so than you already have, if you have anything left, for people out there to walk away from this conversation knowing that, hey, you know what? God is really no respecter of persons. If Kim can do it, if Willie can do it, I can do it too.
Okay. So I don't I think it's all sort of a running theme. I just don't underestimate the power that you have. I especially I do want to put some pressure on white people to use their voices. The stakes are lower for us; they just are, and it's it's really honest to kind of put ourselves on the line and fight for who we need to fight for and fight alongside who we need to fight alongside. Um, and make yourself uncomfortable. Uh, do what learn what you need to learn, and if you don't like it, too bad. If you don't like it, then we need to make sure it doesn't happen again, and we need to make it better. So that's really the only next step. Ignoring it doesn't make it go away. So um, I I like to use this analogy. We should think of ourselves as trees. So scientifically, so trees live longer in forests because their complex root systems connect and work together to create optimal conditions. So if a neighboring tree is lacking nutrients, other trees send more nutrients to that tree to help it stay alive. And trees don't do well in isolation. So you're not, you're going to see them in urban areas, and they can live, but their quality and quantity of life is just not going to be the same as when they're in that root system of a forest.
Mm-hmm.
So as humans, we need to connect and work together to thrive. If we see a need, we need to fulfill that need. And it is up to the stronger and the capable to help those who need that nutrients and need that sustainability. There's two quotes that I'm gonna to leave you with. I wish I could remember the songwriter. I should have looked it up before I logged on, but you can Google it and it'll come up. But it's one of my favorite things to just think about because sometimes I really take on. I think I've got to care about this and this and this and this and this and change it all, and it can take a lot of a mental and emotional toll to think about that. So when I really need to like step back and center myself and think about it, I think of this lyric, which is, "You cannot do all the good the world needs, but the world needs all the good that you can do."
Mm.
So no matter what that is, if you can just do the one good thing and give your all to that one good thing, that's going to do something. And don't underestimate what that can do. So if you ever need that, that's just focus. It's one of my favorites. And then there was an author, the late Michelle McNamara, who was mostly focused on true crime and things like that. But she, I want to get it tattooed on me because it's simple but straightforward. And that is just, it's chaos, be kind. That's it. Like, the world is not going to slow down, and it's always going to be, things are always going to be happening, and you're always going to have to be picking and choosing. But at the end of the day, you can choose kindness. So
It is a choice.
it is a choice, and it's hard, man.
Yeah,
I
it
get
is.
tired too, and I'm not always super kind. But
Well, that's why we all need a savior.
yeah, just do what you can.
Hmm. Well, I think we're gonna wind it down at this point. I think I hear the boss yelling for me. She knows I'm doing a show. Shame on her. She should be watching, but it's all good. It's all good. She'll go back and watch at another time. You probably make her cry as well. So, all right. So before we do anything else, I have to give you this. I don't know why my hand clap was so low, but
No, I
anyway,
didn't hear it.
yeah, it was a hand clap. So,
Yeah,
uh,
thank you.
all right, so we gonna get up out of here. With that being said, y'all make sure that y'all heed the words of my friend, my sister from another mister, my sissy from another missy. We have a social media comment. Let me get to that. Do you know this person?
Yes! Hi, Lauren. Aw, thank you for coming on.
Hey, that's my friend. That's Lauren Morgan. Lauren, we thank you for chiming in with us on this episode. Make sure you go out there and hit that sub button on YouTube and hit that bell for all brand new content because we got a lot of good stuff coming down the pike real soon. So with that being said, all y'all out there, y'all make sure y'all hug each other. Y'all love each other. Y'all hug each other. And I promise it's going to be all right. We will talk to y'all again real soon. For Kim, this is Willie. We out of here. Y'all be safe, be cool, and be good. We out.